Welcome back. It is episode 2 of BB, presented by Playback. I am your host, Zain Bando, and it is awesome to be back as we get a rolling on May in the year, it is 2024 again. My name is Zain Bando. You are watching Bandos Breakdowns episode 2, courtesy of the Empty the Bench podcast that were presented by Playback. I am super happy to be here. Thank you to those who are currently tuning in, both on the audio side and on the video side. Is greatly appreciated as our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB network is slowly but surely approaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you like the content that you're seeing today, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this show, any of my other show, the MMA Outsiders Football Friday during the NFL season, which is going to be coming back this September, and much more. So there's a lot of exciting stuff on the table just in regards to our content and whatnot. And it's going to be a very fun show today. But before we get into all of that and so much more, I just wanted to remind you all who I am. So I'm Sam Band. I'm the host of this show, and I'm currently a sports journalist for a couple of different outlets, including the Sporting News, Sports News Highlights, MMA Knockout, and a couple of others. So you can find my work on several different places. And if you know me from the network by now, my work can be seen here. My work can also be seen on the MMA Outsiders, and I also contribute to some live streams on Playback as well, which we just started a partnership with them. I'm going to explain more of what Playback is a little later on near the end of the show. But I wear many different hats at this network, and this is just my own personal project where I give my own unfiltered take, 40 to 45 minutes once a week on everything that I think about sports and what's going on in the world and pop culture as it relates to sports, etc., etc. So we're going to get into the show here, or we're back for the second episode. Just kind of wanted to give a little introduction of what to expect today. So we're going to go over what was the week in sports. We had the NHL and NBA playoffs that are currently going on. We had a UFC event that took place. We had the NFL draft. It's some stuff in relation to Major League Baseball. We're not gonna get into that today. We're gonna get into some more niche things. And for those of you who have seen the show before, you kind of understand how the show is gonna work. So we're gonna start with Zan's overview, and we're gonna go into Zan Zinger, which is a new segment where I go on a 10-minute rant about something in sports or sports media that really fascinates me and either pisses me off or makes me happy. So you're going to find out this week whether or not the topic that I've chosen actually makes me upset, or if I actually agree with it. So that's going to be an interesting twist. Then we're going to go. What I meant to say was after Zan Zinger, we were going to go into and to look ahead, where I will preview some boxing, MMA, what to look forward to in the NHL and NBA postseason. Maybe just give a tip to the cap as to where you can find the Kentucky Derby this weekend, and a couple other things. And then, of course, I will go into my errors for the week if I have any. It's just a little tip to Medill and the all but very, very encompassing and very dangerous. I want to have happened Medill F, if you will, if you make a mistake. So that's kind of what we're going to be rolling through today. Just 45 minutes of quick and easy sports news, and we'll be out of here and let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. But to start off, just kind of getting into the introduction, we have a lot going on in the NHL and NBA postseason. We had a few series and a couple of nights ago, the Oklahoma City Thunder advancing. You had the Denver Nuggets advancing. You had the Boston Celtics that are currently leading the Miami Heat. You've had a bunch of series that have been relatively competitive. You also have the Knicks and 76ers as well. And on the NHL side, it's been pretty expected. The Rangers advanced to beat the Capitals. All then more than likely looks like the Avalanche are going to beat the Jets. You've also had some potential upset as well. You got Vegas and Dallas that are tied at 2 games apiece. That game is going to be tonight, actually. So that could be a huge swing game in Game 5 for both of those teams as Dallas has rallied from a 2-0 deficit there to tie it up going back to Las Vegas. So there's a lot of exciting playoff hockey and playoff basketball, which all of you guys can catch across the family of networks across Turner and ESPN. So stay tuned for so much more as we don't know, quite frankly, what the series schedule is going to look like into round 2. But what we do know is guaranteed is that the Timberwolves and the Nuggets have advanced. So that's going to be really exciting. And of course, as I just alluded to a second ago, the Rangers, the President's Trophy winners, advanced to the second round. One series that I did forget to mention is that but more than likely looks like that Boston would advance to the second round against the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. So there's a lot of exciting postseason action going on that's just all fast and furious, different games every single night. So stay tuned for all of those games as they're coming up and so much more. Moving over a little bit here, heard in the NFL draft. It was one of the most anticipated NFL drafts in quite some time. The Bears only had four official draft picks for this particular NFL draft year, if you will. But the most important pick was the one that people were the most excited about, and it was Caleb Williams. You can hear my reaction as well as a ton of the other ETB contributors' reactions on the NFL draft live stream that we did, where we reacted to every single pick of the first round. So you could catch kind of what we thought, and for every single pick there, what we thought of the 4 quarterbacks that were selected in the first round and so much more. But this Caleb Williams pick, and it's just awesome. The Bears did not trade the first overall pick away, despite potential rumors just before the draft and stuff like that. The Bears got the guy they wanted. It is Caleb Williams. Yeah, he struggled at the end of the year at USC, but this guy is just an ultimate talent, as I alluded to a week ago. I think he is the franchise guy that the Bears have been looking for. He's someone who's been a proven winner everywhere he's been, from high school, obviously, to college. The Bears need that winning mentality, and for the first time, there's a lot of excitement. You get Caleb Williams with the first pick. You get Roman Duze out of Washington with the second pick. Those are two dynamic pieces that should make the offense a lot better around DJ Moore, and I think there's just a lot of excitement around this Bears team. I'm not saying that they're going to make the playoffs this year, but what I can tell you is that they're going to be extremely competitive. They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be a team that I think is going to get a lot of national attention in both in 325 slots and in primetime games. My prediction for that is expect between 5 and 6 primetime games there, just to kind of get people's feet wet and just kind of see, okay, what is this Bears team really about? And then this Dunze pick, man, is just awesome. He's a speedster at wide receiver. This is a team that could have very easily made the national championship last year. He was a big reason why they made the college football playoff to begin with. And I think he's just someone that's super dynamic in the open field, dynamic in space, can catch every ball. Doesn't care if he's double teamed, triple teamed, quadruple teamed. He'll catch the ball. And if he can get in space and he can be used in kind of a hybrid way, both in the backfield and at wide receiver, there's going to be a lot of scared defenses, if you will, when the Bears take the field. The Bears may not make the postseason this year. They may only win 7 or 8 games, but at the very least, the Bears will be a competitive football team, and it will be a team that is on the rise, not just in the NFL, but in the NFC North, as the Minnesota Vikings did draft J.J. McCarthy. And as much as I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan, he's from LaGrange Park, about 20 minutes away from my house. He's going to have a whole new NFL system to learn. He's very much someone who's a game manager and really much relied on his Michigan teammates to help him get the job done. And this is no disrespect to him as to what he could do by himself, but the NFL is a totally different game than college football, and it's something to it's something to keep in mind when you really look at this draft class and how these guys can adapt. And I think that Caleb Williams can adapt much more than J.J. McCarthy can. But overall, I thought the Bears did really well this draft. They had some nice picks. They had some nice they had some nice UDA picks too, including U of A alum Keith Randolph. So I was super happy to see that, as he was also an All American last year with Johnny Newton, who was selected in the second round by the Commanders. So overall, when you look at my college alma mater, Illinois, did really well. As I'm pretty sure it's between 4 and 6 players who will be playing in the NFL in some capacity. That also includes the duo of Isaiah Adams and Ryman, who were both selected by the Arizona Cardinals. So it'll be cool to see them play in the same team together as ex-Illini for the first time since 2011. So this NFL draft was really, really exciting. I was happy to see just the energy that Detroit had, how many people came out. It is very much an event, and I'm very much looking forward to next year when they come to Green Bay, because I am on the fence, but will heavily consider attending that draft just because they'll be back in the Midwest again. Shifting from the NFL draft now to the combat side, we had UFC Vegas 91 that took place Saturday at the UFC Apex. For those of you guys who don't know and who don't follow the MMA Outsiders closely, just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone on that team. We have Pat Dana on the production side. We had Brett Cagle, who's putting out awesome vlogs and best bet videos every single week that really hype the fight and entice people like, hey, this is who you should bet on. And if you don't know either of these two guys, they're two of the best young minds in this space. They know just as much about fighting, if not a little bit more regional scene wise, as I do. So if you haven't given them their own personal follows, you should. But back to UFC Vegas 91. If you watched last week's episode, I gave you the fight to watch, and that was Johanta Dintz's UFC debut. He took care of business with a very, very nice TKO win in his first fight. And I just wanted to make a quick comment that UFC Vegas 91 was a heavily underrated card. This was a card that I think a lot of people were sleeping on. This is a card that I don't think got the love and fanfare that it deserved, because it was on a midday afternoon start, and it was also at the UFC Apex, which means there were a lack of fans. Just a quick comment on the Apex. I've never physically been to the Apex. I hope to go there at some point in the future, but can we please at some point just do away with these Apex cards? Like, really, like, there are some instances where the Apex just makes sense to do it in the warehouse, but when you got guys like Mateus Nicolau and Alex Perez fighting in the main event, two supremely talented flyweights who are both in championship contention respectively, these ranked guys need to be fighting in arenas. So it's a small message. You can still do the Apex cards, but just tone them down a little bit. I mean, for crying out loud, UFC Vegas 100 is coming up before you know it, and if you don't do something special for that level of fight night card, I don't know what to tell you. But later on in the show, when I briefly preview UFC 301, I'm also going to give you another fight to watch, because already in this early history of BB, we are 1-0 on fighters and fights to watch. So let's try to keep this going. Now I'm going to get into what I like to call Zain Zinger, and my first hot take of the day is that I think that summer is the best time to follow sports. People might think it's fall because of the NFL. People might think it's winter because you're in the heart of the NBA season. You're in the midst of the NHL playoff race heating up. People might think it's spring because of baseball and March Madness. But I think summer is the best time to follow sports, and here's why. Number one, baseball is the best in person in the summer. There's nothing like going to the ballpark, getting a hot dog, getting water, gathering around a bunch of your friends, and watching your favorite baseball team play. And for those of you who know me and know me well, I am obviously still a combat sports junkie at heart, and I would argue that the best fights every year, regardless of promotion, regardless of boxing or MMA, take place in the summer. I'm going to give you an example. This summer, we have a ton of huge fights to look forward to. We have Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier in Newark, New Jersey at UFC 302. We have Conor McGregor taking on Michael Chandler June 29th to coincide with UFC's International Fight Week, their 12th annual event. We have Tyson Fury taking on Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia in the middle of the month. We have tons of other fights, including UFC 304, which is going to be taking place in Manchester for the first time in 2016. My point is March Madness is in March for the college basketball fan. If you are a combat sports fan, you want to talk about summer combat sports madness. Almost every summer, the biggest fights in the world are taking place between the months of May and the months of August. So just keep that in mind as we officially approach the first day of summer, which is obviously June 21st. So if you're looking to if you're looking to immerse yourself in a new sport, you know, or in a new set of sports, fight sports, if you will, in the summer months, there's nothing bigger and better than a Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, when the pay-per-view hits the TV screen and the first fight in the main card walks. It's one of the most exhilarating feelings that you will ever get as a fight fan or somebody in fight media. Wanted to move right ahead into my second hot take, which is kind of in relation to the sports media realm, and I want to talk about sports streaming services. So, in case you guys don't know, where everything is going these days with sports is with sports streaming. You see it with YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket. You see it with NBA League Pass in certain countries. You get every single game. In other countries, you don't get any games at all. You see it with DAZN in Canada, where if you live in Canada, you get every single NFL game. And I just want to say this. I am someone of age, and Z, obviously, I grew up in the internet age, if you will, or the premium internet age with social media and all that stuff. I stream as much as anybody. I have every single streaming service known to man. You name a streaming service, I probably have it. But holy cow, it is so oversaturated in the sports TV market that it is literally downright nuts. You mean to tell me that Amazon, which you alluded to this on episode 81 of the MMA Outsiders, if you have not watched it, go check it out. It released yesterday evening. It was a great show. We previewed UFC boxing and so much more. We also talked about a very interesting feat that Amazon is now going into the NBA streaming business, where they are going to exclusively stream an NBA postseason game. And I just want to say, what happened to the playoffs being free to air to everyone? What happened to people having basic cable and being able to say, hey, I want to turn on TNT, or I want to turn on TBS, or I want to turn on NBC, or I want to turn on CBS, or any of these networks, and just simply watch the game? You don't need to go between one app to another. You don't need to subscribe to this bundle. You don't need to pay this $20 a month. Like, what happened to simpler times? And I understand these streaming services are slowly but surely figuring out ways to give the sports consumer what they want. As you all know, there's going to be a sports streaming service, with Warner Brothers and ESPN, where we're going to come together and try to give sports fans their fix. But is the rumored price of $60 a month really worth it when you don't even have Paramount? Like, what are we like? I just don't understand in the grand scheme of things. Like, what happened to just being able to watch your regional sports network on regular TV? And I may be in the minority here because I do both streaming and live television. But like, my goodness, like, could anyone have some sort of a sense that, like, there are people older than 45 that maybe don't even know how to use sports streaming services, don't even know what an app is, don't even have multiple remotes? Like, what are we doing for the people that have watched sports since the 50s, 60s, and 70s? Because I don't think we're helping any of those people out. And obviously, the counter argument is, oh, Zain, they need to educate themselves. Educate themselves how? Are any of these companies coming out and making guides for elderly people to show them how to stream Peacock? Last time I checked, the answer was no. So that's just a brief rant. I think that sports streaming is good. I think it's on the rise. I think it's ahead of where it needs to be. But my goodness, can we at the very least just tone down the sports streaming a little bit, and at least for the love of goodness, at least for the postseason, give us some sort of TV only option? Like, what happened in simpler times? But anyway, I can get into this rant all day, but we're gonna move on. And what we're going need to move on to is Zan's look ahead. So for those of you who don't know, this segment is just kind of a my not overview, but my look ahead into what I think are the most important sporting events of the weekend. We kind of already dove into the NBA and NHL postseason earlier in the show, but now we're going to get into what I think is one of the most fascinating stories that no one is talking about, and that is we have two major pay-per-views on the same night. We have UFC 301 in Brazil, and over on the other side of the world, we have the Canelo-Munguia fight. And just wanted to briefly preview. You can get more details and analysis over an episode 81 of the MMA Outsiders, but just to give you a brief rundown on the card, we have a huge flyweight title fight. We've got Alexandre Pantoja taking on Steve Erceg. We also have the return of Jose Aldo versus Jonathan Martinez in the co-main event. We have a lot of very interesting fights on this card. But I think one fight that no one is really giving credit to that I think people need to really look out for is this. And given that it is a 10 plus fight card, I figured I would just let you guys know where I was leaning. So to give you some context, I am 93, 80 and 3 on UFC for the year. My overall record for the year, just looking by promotion, is 243, 175 and 5 for a 58% clip. But back to UFC here. The one fight I would look at here is Paul Craig versus Caio Borralho. I think that Paul Craig is on a mission to get another submission win and silence the Brazilian crowd, where I think Caio Borralho is looking for a highlight reel knockout. What I can guarantee you guys is from this fight is this fight's not going the distance, and someone is getting viciously finished. I took Paul Craig by submission on the show. I'm still sticking with that pick. I think it is the most underrated fight on the entire card, and I think it has a chance to be a fight of the night contender if Martinez, Aldo, and or Pantoja Erceg don't live up to the hype. You will see my entire slate of picks Saturday afternoon when we release the picks across social media. You can also get my in card picks as well as Tom's. Again, back on episode 81 of the MMA Outsiders, which heard Tuesday, which heard Tuesday night, which also included boxing and several other things. But I wanted to get into a little bit more to the boxing side too, because we have a major boxing event coming up. We have Canelo versus Munguia. It's a huge fight. It's Canelo's obviously annual Cinco de Mayo tradition, if you will. And I just wanted to say there are two solid pay-per-view events. And the reason why the yeah, so there are obviously two solid pay-per-view events, and the big question that I think people are failing to realize is that these pay-per-views are taking place at the same time. And what you have to understand is that the consumer is going to have a decision to make. The boxing pay-per-view is $10 more. With that being said, on the contrary, there the UFC pay-per-view is $10 cheaper. The biggest question for the consumer is, do you want to pay for a one fight card, which is Canelo's annual Cinco de Mayo fight, or do you want to pay for a card of 5 fights where you know you're going to get ranked contenders, etc., etc.? I think the better value is UFC 301. Is it the most top heavy card in the world? No, but what I can tell you is I think it is the better value, and even though it's $10 more, it's not like Canelo won't fight in September or something like that. So if I were you, or if I were anyone on the fence, I would play the UFC 301 pay-per-view. But of course, if this was just boxing that we were discussing, I of course would buy the Canelo fights. We're just kind of moving we ran along, and just to clarify, my record on UFC, in case you guys didn't hear me clearly, is 93, 80 and 3. I'm in third place between all three MMA Outsiders show contributors that are on the episodes every week, if you will. Wanted to get back into a little bit more to this. So we're gonna continue on, and we're gonna go into what I think is gonna be kind of a funny segment, a segment that people can appreciate. We're gonna go into Zain's errors. This was inspired by PTI. Obviously, if you know that, Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon, a fellow Northwestern alum. I also went to Northwestern for grad school, so I can appreciate that. I can appreciate when they own up to their mistakes and they see something wrong. But I'm pretty sure, and my producer behind the scenes can correct me on this, I didn't have any errors in this episode, or did I? I don't think I did. No, is so thank you there for the clarification. So it looks like for the first edition of Zan's errors, I'm still perfect with zero errors there. Just wanted to kind of turn it back around and just kind of end the episode here on this. So at the beginning of the show, I had mentioned very passionately that this show is presented by Playback. As you all know, Playback is a virtual space that mainly houses NBA games. But I want to give you more of an overview as to what it actually does. And yes, this show, along with every other show across the network, is presented by Playback. We are proud Playback members as the ETB Podcast Network suggests. So thank you to Playback for all of their support. But I wanted to get into more of what Playback is. So let's do that right now. So this show is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, having your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETV network to find out more, including our live stream schedule, which, by the way, there may have been a surprise live stream last night. So in case you guys didn't check it out, you guys definitely should. And for those of you who were unable to check it out, there are going to be more live streams, both with the NBA and with classic streams in the future. So that's what Playback can offer you. It is literally free NBA basketball. We can show the entire game because they have rights to stream it. You can listen to me talk. You can listen to a producer who's behind the scenes talk. You can listen to any of us talk about the NBA based on who's on the stream that night. It's just a great way to be able to talk about basketball, or talk about other sports, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's basically what Playback can offer, and again, it's free. That's right, FREE. It doesn't pay anything. All you have to do is sign up in our community, and there's so many things you can do, including being invited on stage to be able to talk to us and ask questions. So that's kind of all I have for this episode. Again, my name is Zain Bando. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Bandos Breakdowns. We covered a lot in this episode. To kick off the month of May, just a quick shout out that the Kentucky Derby is this weekend, Saturday afternoon at NBC. You don't want to miss it. And if you don't have a ticket, make sure you have a hat, because it is going to be an event to remember for all 20 of the horses in the field. So stay tuned for all of that and so much more. Again, presented by Playback and presented by the ETB Podcast Network. I'm Zain Bando, and we will catch you all next week.